Greetings. My name is Sol Bianco. I have been contemplating the WayFarer and the WayShower since I began this experiment yesterday. I like both of these words for what I'm doing and who I am at this point in my life. A wayfarer is another word for a traveler. It's also the name of the Ray-Ban sunglasses that are quite iconic, of which I do have a pair. But I've been drawn to... Wow, that's a hummingbird. Beautiful. I'm sure you must have animals that visit you periodically, that you associate with relatives that have passed on to the other side. The hummingbird is a sign that my nanny is present. The Wayfarer, yes. Since I was young, I had this dream of traveling and writing and playing my guitar. And I'm also thinking about how interesting it is that when I was a kid, one of my favorite books was this one called My Side of the Mountain, which I recently reread. It's about this kid who goes and lives out in the middle of the wilderness, right? The thing that's interesting about this, though, that I didn't remember, it's not that he ran away from home. It's that he literally chose to do so because he wanted to go and experience the land that was associated with his ancestors. So his parents essentially gave him their blessing because they knew he was going to do it anyway. And at one point, his dad even comes and visits him and is so thrilled by how amazingly well this kid is doing. There's another detail that I really loved that I'll mention briefly, and it's this. He meets a friend at one point and needs to go on a sort of quest into a town, and this friend wants to bring him to a restaurant and does. And he's literally sitting there thinking about how the foods that he wild forages and prepares are even of better quality than what he's finding in the restaurant. I don't know, this made me laugh. It just sounds like the kind of thing that I would think about. Anyway, so Wayfarer, WayShower. WayShower to me speaks to... not to drawing a path for people, but rather by virtue of being in one's essence, in being one's truest, most authentic expression, is thus creating the space, the impetus, the spark for others to do exactly the same thing. So it's not about drawing a map, it's a way of being. And I feel like I am arriving to and have arrived to this sort of state in my life because I've eliminated so many things that were inauthentic and so many ways of being that weren't true to who I am. Wayfarer, WayShower, welcome. I'm glad you found your way here. I am currently quite high up, I imagine, on Mount Shasta. I drove yesterday from the San Francisco Bay Area. It was about 4-5 hours. I really like to drive, listen to music. I also feel and find that type of trance-inducing movement is very helpful as a means of processing. And when I arrived to town, I went to the city park and I did a bit of yoga on the grass in the sun while the sun was still out. There was definitely the presence of other humans who were Rainbow Tribe. They were under a gazebo playing music. I wasn't really desiring that type of experience for myself so much as I was in a meditative state. So I went on a sort of barefoot walking meditation through one of the trails, and I put my feet in the creek. The water was exceptionally cold. I mean, like ice cold. It was shocking the first time, actually. Definitely cold plunge worthy material. But it felt really soothing, and I've been connecting more and more to the healing powers of water in this period of my life. And then I felt inclined to ask a human for any tips relative to locations to car camp, even though I had a lead already from a buddy back in the Bay. And I understood that the reason why I felt inclined to ask her, it was once she gave me her name. There is a native way of saying it, which I do not remember because I don't speak that language, so my memory is not... it can't grasp onto those sounds as well. But when she translated it to me, it meant Star Woman. Which brings us to another book that I read when I was a kid multiple times over that really left an impression on me, and it was called Star Girl. I wonder if any of y'all have read it. I wish I had thought to ask her if she read it, because it's immediately what I thought of, but I was just kind of in it and listening to her. I'm putting out the intention that I see her again at the park to bring up this book. Stargirl was a book about this human who was incredibly, exceptionally out of the ordinary. Very unique, arriving to a certain school. And it's told from the perspective of this boy that falls in love with her. But and also we are... Yeah, and she does these incredibly sweet things. She's so totally Rainbow Tribe, this type of being. We're introduced to her by the fact that she's someone who peels through the newspaper. This is how you could tell how old school this book is. Looking for stories to then commit some loving, caring act of generosity towards the being mentioned in the story. So she's someone, in other words, who's going out of her way to be kind. And she plays an instrument, if I'm not mistaken, that she tends to carry around with her. She dresses in a really quirky way. She's just highly, highly, highly unique. And obviously doesn't fit in at all in her school. So at first she gets picked on, right? And then she tries to change, which is... And then at one point the whole school ends up copying her, which it's like, of course. This is like some Wednesday Addams stuff right now. And then she eventually leaves that town. And yeah, pretty much in a nutshell, if you were to sum up my young mask and my young femme as a kid, it'd probably be those two books. My Side of the Mountain and Stargirl. But anyway, okay, so this woman was called Star Woman, and she said, okay, I don't have this information, but my dear brother Tennyson does. This name I asked, I hope I'm saying it right now, means holder or keeper of the truth. And he told me about how Panther Meadows had just opened up. Panther Meadows. So Black Panther, even more specifically Black Jaguar, is a spirit animal that I associate with onyx, this expression of my being at this time. So I felt really stoked to learn about this. One of the things that I was gifted for my artwork on my way here, on my way to Shasta, this journey, was golden teachers. Something that this holder or keeper of the truth felt inclined to say to me was to visit Panther Meadows, which is a very sacred land, and to let everything go. He said if you're holding on to anything, anger, anything from your past, anything that's weighing you down, leave it all behind. I said your parents, whatever. It was pretty spot on. I think it's definitely one of the reasons why I'm here. And the golden teachers... So I'm in a phase right now in my life where I'm not actively seeking plant medicines at all. But if they're given to me and I feel inclined to accept, then I receive that and I accept them. I know that the golden teachers have a very water energy. I tend to do a lot of crying with these. These being a type of mushroom, by the way. So this is my plan for the day. I'm having my espresso. I did some meditating before I did this. I've just been enjoying the quality of the peace and the silence up here. And the smell of the trees. Oh my god, it smells freaking amazing here. I wish that the candles that say that they're called trees, like pine trees or whatever, smell like this. Which is to say that they also catch the air as well. And yeah, the intention then is to go to Panther Meadows and to have a mushroom ceremony of release. Whatever your plan is for the day, wherever this day may take you, may you find your way. Thanks for tuning in.